You got to, man. As an entrepreneur, you got ideas, and you know what I'm saying. And you can't always just pay somebody to do everything. You know what I mean? You got to. Part of being an entrepreneur is being creative, right? Mm-hmm. And I like it. I think that's why I love it so much, because no 2 days are the same, right? Uh-huh. So maybe one day I'm in the trenches doing a bunch of sales work, right? Uh-huh. You know, getting after it, consulting proposals, blah blah blah. The next day I'm building content, editing, like in here messing around with the OBS software, which is stuff I'm trying to get into next, because I want to be able to do these sessions live and have it framed like television. So I'm getting close. Yeah, but I'm not ready to go live yet.
I think me and you are approaching it from two separate angles. I'm approaching it from the audio angle and content creation, and you doing more of the video and the television route, or the way you're doing your media, which I love the way you're doing it. It's just I'm not ready to go and try to learn. No,
I feel that. Yeah, no, I feel that. Casting is huge, right? I mean, it's a great. I think with you and your personality type T, I think this is your niche, man. This is your lane. Like people love working with you. They love talking with you, or as you like to call it, riffing with you, right? I think that you're going to produce a lot of good quality casting out of these episodes and this platform. So I'm excited to be on, man, of course, and thank you for always thinking of me. And
no problem.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
I'm always inspired by what you do, and I hit the record button, by the way, just in case we get some good.
I figured as much. We gonna jump right in.
Yeah, so because look, this is what usually happens. I do the introduction, we be talking and riffing, and then I don't officially start the show, and then I get all these great nuggets, and I was like, damn, I wish I would have recorded that.
Yeah, it's like, man, I could have sampled. I should have sampled that. I need to sample that.
Yeah, so like 2 minutes after you started talking about entrepreneurship, I'm like, whoop, all right, he's talking about something.
I saw you. I saw you hit the button, Doug. I was like, oh my God.
I was like, let me make sure I am.
Don't even tell him. Just hit it.
He getting it in without even asking the question.
Yeah, right? That part.
All right, so let me play the picture. So I think I told you about this what I was doing with this, but wanted to reframe it again. I'm sounding like I'm in Clubhouse.
Yeah, right. Hey, you gotta reset the room, right? That's how we do it.
So I started this podcast mainly because I saw when I entered the startup space, entrepreneur space, workforce development space, when I go out and speak to kids, and now I'm dealing with adults, is that we as Black people have such limiting beliefs on what we could do, what we could be, and so forth. And what I noticed is that, when I learn from the greats, I take mentorship from everybody, whether it be from you, whether it be from people from our past, or people who are ahead of us. And I realized you can't be what you can't see, and there's not enough of us being shown and highlighted in the many different spaces. And when we are, people start to believe that, it's an anomaly. It's like he's the only Black person doing that, and there's not room for others because he's the chosen one, right? And I'm like, that's simply not true, right?
No, beyond not true.
And so I figured if I created a platform like this that showed more of us doing things in our unique talents, gifts, and greatness, that people will start to see it's not an anomaly, and they'll see either the blueprint or visions of the blueprint, or themselves in the different people that I bring onto the show. And mine has a specific niche because, I was raised by a Nigerian man, being a Black American. And so I have two identities that I pull from that sometimes conflicted with each other. So it's now I'm pulling those two identities from being Black American and African of Nigerian descent to see how do we co-create too in this space where we build.
Love that.
wealth with each other now that I have Shola on the team and I got some new contacts over in Africa that has the money and resources to put into Black Americans. And then if we could do the same thing vice versa, we can kind of create our own synergy there with each other to build wealth. So that gives you the context. And then we'll just get into dialogue around that. Any questions or anything that you have for me before we get started?
Nah, fam. You know how I roll, dog. We can just get into it. You know, I'm always about that vulnerability, about that organics. You know what I'm saying? Getting into it, and let me just take a moment and just honor you real quick, man. Like, you know, is one thing to have an idea, right? And then it's a whole nother thing to take the idea and like start taking the actionable steps, right? To investing in the idea, cultivating the idea, protecting the idea, nurturing the idea, and then bringing it to the real world, right? For the information, for the edification, for the entertainment components of it all, like the whole gamut, right? So, you know, from one brother to another, like, you know, dog, thank you. Thank you very much for staying true to your convictions, staying true to your beliefs, staying true to who you are. You know what I'm saying? And giving us a new platform, a new method, a new means to let our voices be heard, man. I think it's a beautiful thing what you're doing, fam. And I just want to honor that for a second. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I received that. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show.
Come on, somebody.
You heard me and Mike Dunn riffing for a little bit there. I'm not sure my engineers will have a heck of a time editing that, but I know it's going to come out great.
Yeah, right.
I got that part. Welcome to another edition of Raspreneurs. I got a special guest in the building, Mr. Michael Dunn. You may have seen him on the radio show Let's Talk About It With Me if you follow me there. CEO of Decade Financial. Actually, I call him a Renaissance man because he got a lot of things going on.
I really do.
For the people who don't know you, let's go this. Who is Michael Dunn? Dunn?
Oh man.
And I know that's a deep question, but try to sort it out for us.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna hit you with the elevator pitch, right? So check it. So Michael Dunn, obviously that's me. I go AKA Mike the Money Guy. I am a serial entrepreneur. The main company that most folks have come to know me by is my first company, Decade Financial Solutions, which is a financial education firm specializing in credit restoration. But since the inception of Decade, it has grown tremendously, and we have kind of created several different arms of that conglomerate. So now we have Decade Business Solutions, Decade Consulting Group. We even have a Decade CFO, which it's an incubator that we're working on here for probably the late quarters of 2021. But me is just kind of who I am. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm a nerdy little preacher's kid who loves to serve, who loves to help people, and I'm just trying to use my talents, use my gifts to edify the kingdom, and really help not just our people, but just anyone who's looking to try to succeed, anyone who's looking to try to incubate an idea and really bring it to the forefront. You know, if you have purpose and passion, what I like to tell people is I like to help you go from concept to consumer. And we have an entire, systematic vertical that we can kind of put you through the funnel and really get you up to speed. So as you can see by my little shirt here, I'm a coach as well. So I do teach and develop entrepreneurs, teaching them how to make money or make their businesses work for them, not the other way around. Teach them how to manage their systems and manage their brands. And then I also teach people how to multiply that business to 10x potential. And we have a product in place or a service in place that helps you through every phase of that development. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, man. There's a lot of things that it's a great question to ask, right? But it's an interesting one because for me, I'm still evolving. So who is Mike Dunn? What is Mike Dunn? If you'd asked me that in 2018, you probably would have got a different answer than what you got here in 21, right? So it's a beautiful thing, and I love it. You know, I love the growth
and
the evolution.
I love what you said about purpose to passion. And for those who are on the audio experience listening to us, he does look like a coach right now. I've got to see his evolution in the last 3 months. My guy, he's fit right now. He got his medium tee on with the coach on there.
Yeah,
so he looking like a football
small
coach right now.
my little extra small. Gotta let them shoulders show.
So let's dive back into that purpose to passion, because I know your story, and for those who don't know your story, I want you to share it. You know, how you in your personal life were able to go from purpose to passion into building your business and career, and ultimately building yourself. So give that backstory.
Yeah. I love that. All right, so so I won't give the long story long. I'm going to try to condense this down. My boy T knows I can get long winded, but I'm going to try to cut it short and just give you guys sort of the highlights, right? So when I graduated high school in 2002, I was a man who was very lost. Didn't have a purpose. I didn't really understand who I was, what I was, how I was, what I wanted to be, why I wanted to be. There were so many different questions that just were unanswered. And for a guy like me, you think maybe one of the best places to learn to do that is in the military, right? So I joined the military. It's a great place to kind of get some structure, right? And get some direction. But I'm a nonconformist, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, I just don't fit the regular mold, right? And so ultimately, while I did serve honorably, I did have my career ended up short, and I came out of that and carried a lot of shame, carried a lot of guilt, carried a lot of embarrassment. There's just a lot of things that were surrounding. But the one thing that was really dangerous at that time for me was my addiction to alcohol, or as they say, alcoholism is a progressive disease, right? So at that point, I was starting to really dive into the world of alcoholism and not really understanding what I was doing. So what started off as, you know, maybe a binge drink on a weekend, and, you know, started to progress at, like, you know, every few days. And then now it's 4 days a week, and it's just got really bad. And so I always tell folks, 5,475 days. That's how long I spent in active addiction. Okay. As a slave to alcohol. And, I got into a lot of trouble, a lot of legal trouble. I'm no shame in my game. I got 5 DUIs, guys, 5 drinking under the influences. It's terrible. It's crazy when you think about it. 2 of them were felony cases. And what ended up happening is that, through this process of, like, being lost and not knowing my purpose and not being rooted in anything, I ended up, coming to kind of reconnecting to Christ, because I've always been a Christian. I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid. So I grew up in church. It's not like I didn't know the word of God, but I came full circle, April 17th, 2017, while I was sitting incarcerated in a cell. I made a vow to God. I asked God, I said, God, if you could help me get sober, and not just get sober, but stay sober. I promise that I'm gonna live a life, pleasing in accordance to you. And I don't know what that looks like, but all I know is that I can't do this anymore. I'm not becoming the man that I want to be. I'm not using my gifts. Yeah. I'm not using my talents. I'm not building your kingdom. I don't love myself. I hate myself. You know, and I'm just tired, you know, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so, you know, like I said, God decided, hey, first place you're going to learn how to do that is in jail. So he took me through the basics, learned a lot in that time when I spent incarcerated. And when I came out, I was a man on fire, you know, when it came to my purpose. And it, you know, I tell people all the time, it took me about 7 years of really ruminating over that question to really unlock what my purpose is, you know, and since April 17, 2017, I have been, to the best of my ability, I've been walking in that. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, my life just looks completely different than where it is, than where it was, and it's continuing
it's continuing to grow, and I definitely connect with everything you're saying about that surrendering, and then going on this path and this journey where these doors start to open. Because I think I saw that in you the first time I met you. Wait, actually, when was the first time we met? I'm trying to go.
I think the first time we met was on the show. I think it was on the show. Yeah, because you came on as a guest.
Yeah, Will brought me on as a show the first time.
Yeah, he brought you on as an actual guest.
And I remember the first time hearing you talk, and I was like it was just the energy. Actually, about all the guys, and then the synergy that we had was like. It was like a feeling. I don't know if you felt it that day, but it was a feeling I never felt before.
We all did.
Like, all right, there's something here. I just don't know what it is. And that's when I had the conversation with Lord, is this the direction I should be going in? Cause I had no plans of going in this direction, but if this is the 100%. Direction that you said I need to be in, I'll go.
Yeah, that part. And it's funny that you say that, fam, because I think that, that's the great crucible of entrepreneurship, right? When you take a person who is multifaceted, like myself, like you, like some of our other partners and other members in our network, right? That type of cerebral and just raw talent, it needs to be channeled spiritually. Now, I tell people this all the time. I'm a subscriber to Jesus, right? That's my guy. Jesus is my dude. But I don't care who you choose or what you choose. Just get yourself a spiritual higher authority that you can do business with. Because if you are talented, if you have all these gifts and you have so much to offer to the world, you need to be in a position of humility and being directed, because what you're trying to cultivate is bigger than you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? What you have to offer is much deeper than just podcasting or radio show, or it goes so much beyond that, bro. This is a digital archive, right? It's a collection of your life's work that can be presented to the world forever. So when you're talking about entrepreneurship and you're talking about being in this type of space where you are creating stuff for people, I think that the best way to do that is through under the tutelage of a spiritual authority. And so I say 90% of the stuff that I've ever built I didn't even know I was going in that direction. You know what I'm saying? It was like, well, how did we get here? This is dope. I think I understand what we're doing, but I really have no idea. And I'm surrendering to the process. Right. And I'm just doing what I feel like I'm being guided to do. And then what comes out of it is these beautiful relationships, these beautiful masterpieces of work and product that gets produced, out of that mindset.
And I can't wait for you to get to that digital front of video, because it's going to be, oh man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of lit, man. Yeah, I'm pretty
amazing.
I'm pretty pumped, dude. We live in a world now that we got all this access, all this technology. Our people, I love my people. We finally have the tools to control our own narrative. I never want to take that for granted. When I study the history of our people, how we've had to fight for our own voice.
Yes.
And now we are here. Now, I'm not saying the powers that be aren't still there, and that I'm not saying that there aren't still systemic issues going on, but we got some way better tools to fight than we did before.
I agree with that. I agree with that. 100%. So let's go back just a little bit because
let's do it.
People know you now, and as serial entrepreneur, you got some successful companies and businesses that you're running. But I often tell, especially the young folks or people, that it's not where they're at, but look where they started. Like, and then even where you start, don't get defeated when you first start, right? Because there's a lesson you can learn from every venture that takes you through this journey, and it's about the journey, the process.
100%.
And I want to take people through your journey, so I want to go back. If you can indulge me for a second, what was your first job? What was your first job? And what was the lesson that you learned from that first job?
First job, 16 years old. Actually, no, I had to go back because that was like my first, like traditional job where I was getting like a W-2 paycheck, working at SeaWorld. So that was like my first like little like summer job.
Yeah.
Learned some things there too, but I'm gonna go back even before that because my actual first job that I made money was, acting. It was in acting and modeling.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
I know. I know, right? So, so I had that on a humbug, bro. So like my mom wanted to get my brother and I into the arts. The day that my mom sent my brother to go do like the general audition where they try to figure out if you even have talent for this kind of thing. I just happened to go on the car ride with her. I said, okay, I'll go, like tagging along. And then mom was like, hey, why don't you do it too? Like, why don't you do the little one-liner skit or whatever they're going to have you do? And so, I did it and I got a call back and they said, hey, we think we said that we're not too crazy about your youngest one, but the other one, I think, we think there might be something there. We were wondering if you would be interested in putting them in classes. And so I started taking acting classes and, I started landing gigs and started landing commercials and then started getting into modeling. And then I was getting ready. I was building, a cool little portfolio and I was getting ready to get into that kind of Disney incubator system because at that time, I was multifaceted because I could dance, I could sing. Apparently I could act, had a good look, I guess, as a kid. And so I was doing that for a few years. So that was like my first job. And I think what it taught me a lot, actually. It taught me about the importance of voice.
Okay.
Voice inflection and the power of communication without communicating. It taught me, colors. And how colors complement each other on the color wheel. It taught me the importance of packaging. Now, this is looking back on it in hindsight, right? Like I was like 10, 12, 14 years old. I had no idea, that's what was going on, when I'm that age. Right. But I actually, man, I revert back to those things a lot. Especially like when I got into music, when I get into stage presentations, when I do video, even now on this podcast, like I consider my pace, my cadence, all those different things because they matter when you're presenting yourself to people on a recorded medium, right? Yeah. So those are things that I learned a lot. But I think the biggest thing that I learned, fam, real biggest thing that I learned is that you can get paid to have fun.
Now that part right there, because I think that was my lesson too that I learned these past 5 years. And that's why you always hear me say in our intro, do what you love what you do, don't chase the money, let the money chase you. And a lot of that had to do with the first time I got paid to come speak somewhere, when I got a physical check, and I didn't know you could get paid to go speak. And then I got paid to go speak somewhere. And then word got around town slowly. Hey, this guy came in, did an amazing speech. You should reach out to him. He'll be great for your kids. Right.
Yeah.
And then, so I love everything that you said about that. You know what? Now that I'm piecing this together. Now you tell me. No wonder you're making your transition, your debut back into TV.
I know, right? How funny.
It was destined.
It was destined, right? Like it's funny you should say that, fam, because like one of my biggest regrets as a young man is listening to the noise, dude. Like, oh God, man. Man, when you're young, if you guys are young, I'm going to say like 18 and below. Okay. If you guys happen to catch this podcast, and I certainly hope that you do, your possibilities are so limitless. It is, and I know that sounds so corny to say. I know it's cheesy. I know it sounds cheesy, but believe me when I tell you, my dad used to talk about this thing called the game of life. And what it really is talking about is that when you're young, all the doors are completely open. Now, if you also consider the game of life, some of us start a little bit ahead of others, right? Because of generations before, right? So let's just say hypothetically, you come from a rich family, a wealthy family. Okay. You may start the game of life ahead of, like, let's say a young man who's growing up in the urban community who doesn't have, the resources originally that you had access to. However, it doesn't limit your possibilities. It just means that the person who's starting a little further behind, they just got to run a little bit faster, right? And they got to want it a little bit more in order to catch up, to the people who just got an advantage just from the family that they were born into. But as you get older and you keep making all these choices, those choices stack on each other just like dominoes. And what happens is those dominoes lead you down different paths where now opportunities either create more or they close more. Now me as a young man, I made a lot of choices based on other people's expectations. And that's what I mean when I say listening to the noise, that if I would have just stayed in my lane, I can tell you a couple of things. One, I would probably be speaking 4 languages because I was already on pace. I was already on pace to doing that. 2, I probably would have played professional soccer at some point in my career. And that would have helped to, catapult the language learning. 3, I would have probably developed international relationships just because soccer takes you all over the world. And then 4, I would probably be a much more profitable entrepreneur at this stage in my life if I would have stuck to the script. Or I would have went acting, modeling, full Hollywood, because I was on my way. And I had many, many managers, many, many agents tell me, dude, you got the juice. Like, you got the juice. You just need to keep working on your craft, and what happened was I kept listening to the noise. What I mean by the noise is I'm talking about the sidewalk superstars who telling you, oh man, you can't do that, or that's not possible, or da. I was just listening to Jay-Z talk about this in one of his interviews where he was talking about his own uncle telling him, oh man, you ain't never going to be able to sell 1 million records. And I mean, obviously we know he sold 1 million times.
He said, I sold 1 million records like 1,000 times.
Yeah, 1,000 times. Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, people like to project, right? They like to, and it's fair. That's their reality. Like some people can't do what I do. Some people can't do what you do, listener. Like you specifically have that thing inside you that only you can do, that somebody else can't do. So when they tell you that you can't do it, what they're really saying is that they can't do it, because that's true. And don't listen to that noise, right? And that's what happened, man. I let myself get detracted with that.
And what you'll find too in life, once you find that special, unique thing, gift you have, and that thing that you do, and you put purpose behind it, people will start to pay you to do that special thing that you do.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. So here's another one. We'll get real deep just real quick, because I mean, I am a money guy for a reason, right? So a lot of people always ask me, like, first of all, how'd you get the name Mike the Money Guy? Well, it started off on the surface, like, because I worked in finance, and every time people have money problems, they're always coming to me for advice, and like just to, get things resolved, and I was always giving them advice. So then they were like, oh no, that's the money guy right there. Like, and so it just kind of stuck. And over time, I just decided to create a caricature called Mike the Money Guy. Now, the word, if you actually look at the American dollar, on the back of the American dollar, there's a phrase. It says "E pluribus unum." Okay, it's Greek or Latin, excuse me. And what it means is many into one. Okay, so spiritually speaking, what you are doing with money is you are creating something that brings many people into one cohesive unit. The more effective you do that, the more you can be compensated. Okay. Now, you don't believe me? Look at all the billion-dollar companies, multi-billion, even the trillion-dollar companies. What is one thing that all those companies have in common? They are taking massive amounts of people and bringing them into one singular space. Facebook, Amazon, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Google. What are they all doing? They're bringing millions upon millions, billions of people and bringing them into one singular interface. Just like you, T. What are you doing when you stand on stage and you are, spitting that game, putting that propane gas out there for humanity? You are taking thousands of kids, thousands of people, and getting them to singularize their thoughts on one specific thing, which is you, like what you're talking about. Yeah. And what happens? The byproduct is that you're compensated for that, in proportion to the amount of people that you bring into one space. That's the essence of money. So if you really, so if you think about, okay, if I have an idea and I'm trying to cultivate this idea, and what the goal of the idea is bringing all these people into this idea, that directly correlates to the monetization value of the idea.
Okay. I like that. So now let's go into the steps of cultivating an idea, because I know you got people inspired right now. They're like, you know what? I like this Mike the Money Guy. He's created several businesses. From your journey, and if I'm listening and I'm like, all right, how do I start to create a business kind of like how Mike has done in his career? What would you say were the steps you took to get it to kind of build your business or your career?
Okay, so a couple of things. One, I have a course called the Make, Manage, Multiply System that is literally designed to do this for any business vertical. Okay. So if you guys want to find me on MikeTheMoneyGuy.com or DecadeBusiness.com, or you go to our Facebook, Mike the Money Guy, Instagram, Mike the Money Guy. As you can start to see a pattern here, Mike the Money Guy is pretty common.
And don't worry, folks, if you're driving, I'm going to put this in the show notes so you can go into it later.
Yeah. You can go reference it later. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't talk to Mike about this beforehand, but maybe we could get a little discount code for our users.
Of course.
I'll hate to put them on the spot.
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. No, we already been talking about that, because I've been doing I've been kind of on a little round robin with some interviews and casting and stuff. So, and same thing. It's a great thing. So if you guys are coming through Risepreneur, guys, please, for sure. we'll get you some, we'll make this program affordable because I believe the world needs this. All right. We're not trying to break your bank and have you, going broke trying to buy a digital course. Lord knows there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of digital courses out there. But this one's really meant for the heart. And this one's really meant to help you cultivate your ideas. Okay. So I just want to be very transparent about that. Now, so how do Mike Dunn, or how do I, if I have, I'm kind of in the gut or the gutters, or I don't really know what to do. Like I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay. The first thing you have to do is you got to figure out your purpose. That is the first thing. And what I mean by that is it's not this, it is not this like super, specific, like, my purpose is to work in the corporate America industry of technology and do XYZ. Like, no, it's actually much more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's fluid. It's much more fluid than that. Okay. So I'll give you guys mine. Okay. Now in Make, Manage, Multiply, this is lesson number 1, called Purpose Driven Performance. My purpose is to use my creativity, my intellect, and my creativity, my intellect, and my teaching ability to encourage, inspire, and motivate you. Okay. Together, we will become the community that conquers our potential and finds hope. Okay. Now, if you really think about that statement, that can be done through a variety of mediums. Okay. So now, once you have the kind of the baseline of your purpose, then you can ask yourself the right questions, right? So like if I had to look at my brother over here, T, I already know off top, one of his things that he's trying to do is inspire. So really what he should be thinking about, right, is, okay, in anything that I do, how can I infuse inspiration into that product? And so I'm not just selling a podcast. I'm not just selling my public speaking ability. What I'm really selling and packaging is inspiration. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm selling. That's what I'm pushing. So when you start getting to the root cause of what you're selling, and I talk to a lot of credit companies about this. When I ask them, are you selling credit repair? And their first answer is, yes, of course. I'm selling a result. I'm selling this. I'm like, no, you're not. You ask any of my students who have gone through my programs, they'll tell you they're no longer selling their product, whatever that product is in their vertical. They're not selling that. They're selling some sort of principle. And they understand that. So now when you're marketing and all the other stuff, it has this cohesion to it. But so the first thing you want to do is you want to find the purpose. Okay. And if you go, I believe on Mike the Money Guy in one of the units, or even Credit Repair University, I believe there's actually a unit that, cause we gave this one away for free. Yeah. We wanted, because we just believed in it that much. It's about a 20-minute exercise. It's not too long of a video. Okay. And you get a pen and paper and, get after it. And
I'm definitely going to have to get that link from you too, so I can put it in the.
Yeah, I'll shoot you. Yeah, I'll shoot the link to the unit, and anybody can take it. The first lesson's free. The next step, okay, is ideas. Just ideas. Now, you don't judge the idea. There is no such thing as a bad idea. Now, I'm being straight up. Even if you wrote down the idea, maybe I want to push a little weight. Like, that's not necessarily inherently a bad idea. What you have to do is you have to measure it against the purpose. Okay. Can you really cultivate hope and inspire, encourage people pushing weight on the street? No, you cannot. So we discard that idea, but the editing of the ideas, that comes later. Okay. That comes later. Right now, you do it bite by bite. And this is the problem that most people have, T, is they try to do everything all at once. So they're trying to come up with ideas, and then they're trying to, edit the ideas and then cultivate it, and then try to, piece it together with partners and all. Dude, no, stop. Remember what I said in the beginning. Yeah. Spiritual higher authority, getting into the law of attraction, right? Allowing that to surrendering to the process and allowing that to navigate you. You know, our whole relationship that we have today, now going on, I think 3 years or something like that, was all predicated on you and I individually surrendering to the process in our own lives. And by surrendering to the process, it brought both of us together, you know, through this serendipitous turn of events. So what I'm saying to you, listener, is that stop worrying about how the vision's going to come to reality. Stop worrying about that. Focus on the idea first. When God took Joshua, what did he do? He showed him the land of Canaan. He showed him the vision. At any point, did God tell Joshua, like, this is how we're going to take over that city, or this is how we're going to do that? No, he didn't give him that information until they were standing at the gates.
Yeah.
Standing, you know? So don't worry about how it's going to be accomplished. That's a God problem. That's a spiritual authority problem. Your job is to focus on the ideas. So come up with all of them, as many as you can, right? Once you feel like your brain has been exhausted and you run out of bandwidth, right? You got no more left in the tank. Then you incubate. Then we incubate the ideas. This is where you start, you know, and I guarantee you that when you get your list of ideas, I guarantee you're going to have at least 5 people that pop up in your head of like, man, I should run this idea by them. I should run this idea by them. That's not a coincidence. Okay. Like, that's not a coincidence. God is telling you, your higher authority is telling you, these are the people to go talk to. And I know that you've experienced this, T.
Yeah.
With all the ideas that you've built. And then somebody pops in your head and you're like, well, okay, maybe I should go run this by them and see what they, and then they're like, oh my God, you have no idea. Like, I've been thinking about this, blah, 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 blah. And they're just geeked, you know? And then all of a sudden you have a partner. Like,
you know, true story. That's how, so I think Will called me cause I was thinking about, like, I was like, man, they could change the radio show to this. Man, I wish I could be on it. Like, I think it'd be a good fit, but that's their thing. Like, you know, and then the day Will called me, he was like, hey, I was thinking about have you on the show again. I was like, you know, I was thinking about that too. You know, I was thinking about some other things, but I don't want to overstep. And then we started getting the conversation. And I was like, you know, why don't we just make this a regular thing? He's like, well, would you be interested in coming on the show? Like, as a co-host? I was like, I actually would love that. Like, but I don't know how the guys would feel about it because this is their thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think they'll have any problem. Like, he's like, bro, I'm gonna get off the phone and I'm gonna call you back.
Yeah, dude, that's literally. So when you came, the very, very first time you came on the show, like we all felt the energy, right? It was just like, and this is what inspiration, cultivation, this is the essence of what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about understanding this concept that I'm talking about, like the money concept, many into one, building business, many into one, spiritual authority, many people, one body. Like it's all about the collaboration. It's all about the cooperation. We heard this from the late, great Bernie Dorman. Guy created CEO Space. It's a multi-international billion-dollar conglomerate. This is the guy who coaches coaches. So if you like Les Brown, if you like the Anthony Robbins, if you like all these amazing people who have inspired billions, this is the guy who coached them. Yeah. He is telling you, he told us before he, you know, went home to the higher gates, like told us, get into a spirit of cooperation with people and then do what thrills you. That's the 2 things that he taught us. He said, before, if I could tell you 2 things, these are it. And we felt it. We felt that energy as soon as we all got into the physical space. This is obviously pre-COVID.
Yeah. And he also told us that we had something special.
100%. He did.
And I remember
it's contagious. It's contagious, you know. And so this, if people, and I'm gonna make this real specific for a quick second. If our people, you know what I mean when I say our people, would get out of our own way and start trying to cooperate with each other, whew, bruh. You know, I was watching the that same documentary on Jay-Z, and I was looking at I'm looking at Swiss Beats, Timbaland, Jay-Z, and Pharrell, all sitting in the room, and they had Mark Rubin there too, and they just riffing. They're just and it's funny because at that part of the documentary you couldn't hear anything that was being said, but just those 4 black men, just you could just tell they were just vibing, dude. Like just
and amazing in their crafts too. Like just
100%.
I can't imagine the amount of creativity and serendipity and energy that was going on in that room.
It's out of control. It's out of control, right? It's out of control. And it's like, dude, if we would do more of that, you know what I'm saying? Bruh.
Now,
I mean, we could,
yeah. So, man, I don't even know whether I'm gonna take it here. What's one good lesson life has taught you? Because you have been a testimony that I've seen how you've been able to recreate and reshape your life, go through the ups and downs, take those lessons and turn it into triumph. And I imagine you have a lot of, I don't imagine. You do have a lot of great life lessons that I get to learn throughout the course of these past 3 years. But what would you say was the number one, the best lesson life has taught you that you can give to the people?
Oh, I have 2. That's easy. Cause I say them almost every day to people. So this one is, So you gotta remember, as a coach, I'm having this kind of conversation a lot. Okay. So there's 2 major life lessons that I want everybody to walk away from if you don't hear anything else that I said. 1, the word fail, F-A-I-L, fail, this is what it is. Fascinating and inspirational learning. Okay? That's what failing is. You cannot succeed if you're not learning. Failure is a part of it's a part of success. Mm-hmm. It's a part of success. And so you cannot succeed without failing. Okay? Now, the other one, and this one is more important than the first. God will take your mess and your age, and he will put it together to make your message. Mm-hmm. Understand, every single thing you are going through right now is preparing you for the thing that you asked God for in the beginning of your life. So when you said that you wanted to become the businessman, or you wanted to become the soccer player, or you wanted to become the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer, like whatever that was that you asked in your quiet time when you were a little kid, or maybe even like a quiet time as a teenager, or maybe that first teacher who inspired you to really think beyond, like, and and most of the time that real dream, you don't tell anybody, it's that one really inside you. Yeah. Everything you're going through is preparing you for that. Everything that you're going through, your mess, your age together make your message. And that is what makes you the most unique thing on the planet.
Woo! Mike Dunn is dropping some bombs for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you not driving, you should be grabbing a pen and paper right now, or rewinding that for the feedback. Now, I want to get into a couple of practical tips because me and you could probably talk for hours, but I know I can't keep you here for hours. and I want to be fair to people's drive time and not have them on for 2 hours trying to listen and being late for work. So, what is some advice you would give to someone who would like to start a career in your industry? And I know for you that might be a little tricky because you're in several different industries. So I'll let you choose the industry you want to speak to.
The first okay, so whenever if you're thinking about trying to enter into an industry that is for the most part not extremely expensive, you provide a real need, and anyone can benefit from your service, credit restoration, credit repair, start a credit repair business. If you go online to Credit Repair University, we talk about this all day long. Credit Repair University is literally designed for two things. It's to give the consumer readily available access to just free, powerful information that is actually something they can use to truly impact their financial trajectory. And then two, it's also an incubator for all the industries surrounding the credit restoration and credit repair. For those who are interested in building a business, for those who are interested in partnering with the business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a huge incubator online that we work with all kinds of individuals. But I have taken now about roughly 200 students through M3 Make, Manage, Multiply system. And I'm going to say this because I have the numbers. Not one of those students isn't making six figures.
That's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Because with the credit restoration vertical, it is 100% a need all the time. It's recession proof. And you are providing a true value to anyone who comes across your path. Because I can tell you, if you look in your phone right now, you have at least 35 people in your phone who are probably struggling with some sort of personal credit challenge. And you don't need any fancy certifications. You don't need a ton of schooling, to get like qualified. You just need to have a passion for helping people and just a willingness to learn something new. And I mean, I know companies right now who are not even really like 100% fully qualified to be doing credit repair that are making a killing because in our space, there's something that's called outsourcing. So what that means is if I can sell you on the product, T, what I can do is I can outsource my dispute labor. So the person who actually fixes your credit for you, I can outsource that labor to another company who's like more qualified to fix it. And, I just basically pass that fee on to my client. So I know a lot of so it's a very easy industry to get into. It is a very lucrative industry to get into, and it's a very rewarding industry to get into if you do things the right way. Like if you put people before profit, you can become a profit for the people. So that would be honestly, that's the space that I would encourage you to get into because there's enough room for everyone to be successful.
Absolutely. And I truly appreciate that you said that about people over profit because I too, just to be honest, have used Mike Dunn services because there was some things that I didn't know and needed to get educated about. And, he was so gracious enough to always put my needs first and make sure I got the best possible solution to be in a great position that I'm in today. What do you think the future has in store for your industry?
Oh man. Well, I mean, if I'm being 100% transparent with you, I'm trying to be a disruptor in my industry.
Okay.
I'm just, there's a lot of things that have changed about the way that consumers spend and use their data. And that data has not been like the modeling systems in which we use to model credibility for companies, or modeling credibility for a consumer. So layman's terms, the way that we try to figure out whether or not you're going to pay this mortgage is not using all the right data. That model that we use to assess you is outdated. It was built back in the 70s. And so we are in 2021 where we have literally cryptocurrency now, and there's a lot of things that are not being taken into account when it comes to the ability to quantify credibility. And so I think that as the world has shifted to more of a digital type of transaction, I believe that the credit world needs to shift as well. But as you already know, being a fintech goer yourself, fintech is very challenging. For guys who have no idea what we're talking about financial technology, fintech. It's basically merging the financial industry with the new innovations of technology. Believe it or not, ironically enough, as much as we have grown in technology, finances and the way that finances are conducted when it comes to the servicing of it has actually pretty much stayed the same for a very, very, very long time. And it just needs a huge facelift. So, this is like a multi-billion-dollar industry that people are trying to figure out how to give it a facelift. And so where
and catch up to the times as well. Now, just the facelift.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I guess that's the same, but in the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the face. Yeah, that's what I mean by the face. So we're saying the same thing. Yeah. So the ultimate goal for us, or I think the ultimate goal for me and my business is, the consulting side of my business has like catapulted that I knew that was going to happen. I mean, in its infancy, I always thought Decade was a consulting business inherently. But it just accelerated much faster than I thought. And, here again, trusting my higher authority, trusting the process. If you would have told me in 2018, when I was sitting inside of a jail cell or 2017, that I was going to be designing algorithmic systems and AI modeling and software building, like I would have told you lost your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't gonna be me, bro. And here we are in 21, and that's exactly what we're doing. So like that's kind of where the trajectory I think of our industry is headed. But that's not to say that that you can't get in now and make a very, very comfortable living, especially if you do things right and you run it like a practice, or depending on how big you want to grow. But most of my students, they don't really want to go above like 300K, and that's more than enough for them. And so, it's a very great, rewarding industry. It's tough sometimes. I can tell you it's tough, just like any business, but the rewards are unbelievable. And I encourage you to either reach out or, talk to a fellow businessman or a mentor or entrepreneur, whoever you can talk to about our industry. It's a great industry to be in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael Dunn, man. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and I do definitely. I think we might have to do a part 2, because it's a lot of stuff that I know about you that we didn't even get a chance to get into.
I know,
but let's leave the people with this. What projects are you currently working on, and where can people find you?
Okay, so there's a lot of places where you can find me, but I'll try to give you a quick list. So Decade, DECADE, is kind of the main hub. So you got decadebusiness.com. You got decadesolutions.com. I am a behemoth on Facebook. I love Facebook. I'm on there all day. So Mike Dunn Jr. or Michael Dunn Jr., you can find me there. Mike the Money Guy, obviously. I'm on Instagram as well as Mike the Money Guy, so you guys can find me there. And really, if you just go to Facebook and go to Michael Dunn Jr., you'll see a picture of me. You'll actually probably see a picture of T as well on my backdrop. And you just start there and go to my bio and just start clicking on stuff. You be 2 clicks away from getting a hold of me. It's not too hard. I try to make myself accessible to people as much as possible. So shoot me a DM. I answer every DM in my inbox. I am answering it. It's not my staff or any of my assistants. And let's get it. Let's do it. Reach out. Let's make it happen.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike the Money Guy, a man of the people. When this episode airs, I'm gonna get all of his links for the show notes, and we're gonna get that special discount course out to you as well. Of course. For those of you looking to get in alignment and pursue your passion and purpose in life. Alrighty, that's it for another episode of Risepreneurs. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next time.
Yay!